let's talk about the world economy and China economy right now. As we can see in the world economy, it's pretty much like a big saying that we're in a recession right now, right? We see a lot of industries during the COVID time pump like crazy. Pretty much every single company from retail to auto, real estate, anything you can really name pretty much went like this. It went dipped a little bit, but then it went like this, like crazy, right? And now, and as you can say that after a few years has gone by from COVID and that initial big pump, we see everything start to go like this, fall. And we're in a time where everything is just falling right now. Like a lot of industries keep falling right now and we don't really know how low it's gonna go. It's kind of like the stock market. People think it's going to go up forever, and it's kind of like this now in reverse, right? People are going to think it's going to go down forever. It never really goes as high as people think, and it never really goes as low as people think. But right now, I would definitely say as the economy right now, a lot of industries are on a decline right now, and it's just very, in a recession, right? In a good market, people get a lot of money, like versus the COVID time, a lot of people were just given a lot of money. So the economy, they spent that money, and now a lot of industries are kind of just like constricted, right? So they're kind of decline, and a lot of people, they're holding on to the money instead of just spending it. So if we see a lot of industries start to decline, right? From real estate, maybe clothing, everything that you can really name of IT, you see a lot of layoffs across the board, and just a lot of layoffs and just a lot of things, right? And that affects the economy overall. So in China, that pretty much plays a bigger picture, right? We see a lot of industries from real estate, jobs drying up, a lot of layoffs. It's like that across the world, but it sort of affects that China in the same type of way. And what I mean by that is, like, we could say like a year, 2 years ago, if you went into like the bigger tier 1 cities in China, you could see like a lot of people in their 20s and 30s, and they just came there from their hometowns far away in rural areas. We see them in like Shanghai, Shenzhen, and like a lot of they go to school and then they go to work, and they're just trying to make money to survive, and what happened now when a lot of those like jobs dried up, a lot of people in those tier 1 cities, they can't afford to keep paying rent, they can't afford to keep paying their property, so they go back to their hometown where the cost of living is cheaper. They can get a job there and they make less, but the cost of living is definitely less as well. So you can see a lot of like those bigger cities, when you go into like those areas now compared to a year, 2 years ago when the economy was kind of like this, you start to see less and less people outside. You start to see a lot of less and less people spending money. Maybe less people on a taxi, that affects the taxi driver. Less people buying food at the market, that affects the food. Less people buying real estate, renting real estate there, and that you can see that effect. And that's a domino effect all across the board. And that domino effect pretty much affects the entire economy, right? You see that happen in China, and you definitely also start to see that happen in the US as well, right? Compare that to a year, 2 years ago when everybody was the COVID time, everybody was like working remote, and people were just sort of like escaping the cities where they were like working, right? In China, that also happens. People also try to escape the cities. But yeah, that's just pretty much what the economy is like now. My thoughts and opinions are, it's very much in terms of economy, it's very much of an unstable time. A lot of people, it's a general consensus that we're in a recession, right? So a lot of people do not want to spend money as they used to, right? Because in a recession, you definitely want to retain as much value or as much net worth as you can, while the dollar is sort of like comparing to other currencies is definitely dropping, right? We definitely see other countries' dollar value, they're pretty much currency value compared to the US. It's pretty much right now we're in a state where a lot of people are just trying to retain a lot of their net worth, as well as make their net worth last longer than before, because they don't have that influx of like a year ago, 2 years ago, all that big capital, all that easy money that was to be gotten, right? Now it's harder. Like a lot of companies clinch their money, a lot of layoffs happening, a lot of people have to be in that more defensive type state of living right now, right? We see people sort of live like that across the board, and so it's like that in China right now. In terms of economy, another interesting thing is, since we saw a recession going on, and we see sort of like kind of like a crunch going on right now in the recession and just everything going on, we also see an AI boom go on at the same time, right? It's a time where companies are trying to cut corners. AI is on an incline right now, and pretty much the AI companies behind it are pretty much booming as well, right? We see with AI, it's sort of the wild west with AI right now. Nobody really knows for sure the future or the implications of AI, but that's a whole nother thing right now. I would say that's a big thing right now in terms of the economy. I would say if you're working in the AI sector, if you're part of the AI, if you're implementing AI, I would say it's a cool thing right now because it's definitely we're in an AI wave right now. But it's interesting at the same time of the AI wave, we see the recession sort of happen, right? A lot of industries, some people are definitely blaming AI, but in my opinion, I would not blame AI. I would just say it's sort of an independent thing, whether the economy is good, whether the economy is bad. It probably would have happened anyways, right? And it's definitely, and you could definitely argue AI is definitely, you type in a question and it goes through its machine learning and it spits out a really smart answer. AI, in my opinion, is just sort of like search engines, but just like just on steroids or just like super hyper focused, and it gives you a super in-depth answer. You can type anything, whether what's the weather in London, what's the best food spots to eat in London, or whatever, wherever, and it gives you a detailed answer, kind of like a human like, and we definitely see that in the economy as well. But overall, with the economy, we're see it going China right now. I think in China right now, the economy is just definitely, you could definitely just compare it to the US because it's just the world as well, right? It's just pretty much just following, it's pretty much just part of it, right? We see a recession in the US, we also see a recession in China. Like a lot of the same things happening in the US also happening in China. A lot of people, jobs are more harder to find, but there's definitely jobs that are, I would definitely say, like the lower wage jobs. There's a lot of those, but a lot of people just generally don't want to do those because a lot of people will have college degrees and then they'll graduate into a job market that's where there's not many jobs. But if you go into like those other like provinces, there's definitely a lot of jobs, but a lot of the jobs are just kind of low wage. It's kind of like in the US as well, right? We have a lot of fast food jobs that are open, but nobody wants to do them. But just like fast food or maybe something like that, right? But a lot of people they just generally don't want to do it. Yeah, that's pretty much like my thoughts on where the economy in China is right now. Like we see the world in the kind of recession. China is sort of like that as well. That's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, subscribe, and turn post notifications on.